In 2014, NFL running back Adrian Peterson's arrest for allegedly abusing his 4-year-old son sparked much debate over whether or not spanking is an appropriate form of discipline. Also known as corporal punishment, spanking is something a parent must assess in committing at one time or another. It is a difficult topic and has been heavily debated for decades. Properly understood and administered, spanking is most effective as a deterrent to undesirable behavior for young children. Researchers at the University of Texas at Austin and the University of Michigan looked at 50 years of data from 75 different studies involving more than 160,000 children and determined that spanking children actually makes them more likely to misbehave again. Grant Soonson from Newsy covers this.
Gershoff said, "We as a society think of spanking and physical abuse as distinct behaviors. Yet our research shows that spanking is linked with the same negative child outcomes as abuse, just to a slightly lesser degree. That's especially worrying when you consider nearly half of American parents admitted to spanking their kids in 2015. According to UNICEF, that number is virtually the same worldwide."
Grant Soonson continues by saying these kids also tend to struggle with antisocial behavior, mental health issues, and determining right from wrong later in life. There have been many cases that confirm what child psychologists have been saying for years. Spanking is bad for kids. But how? When does spanking become abuse? Is it really harmful physically and emotionally to all children? Does it actually work to change behavior? This issue seems like a black and white issue, a simple one, but there is a huge gray area. Even the term spanking seems out of context because not all forms of corporal punishment in the home only involve using an open palm. Sometimes there's a belt involved, or a wooden spoon, or even a switch. After asking myself all of these questions, I've made a stance. My stance is that when confronted with the choice whether or not to spank your child, parents should carefully assess and only spank to educate the child on what's right and wrong. I stumbled across Time.com's article, "Spanking Can Be an Appropriate Form of Child Discipline," by Dr. Jared Pingleton, a clinical psychologist and minister who serves as the director for Focus on the Family's Counseling Department. He then expresses that spanking then can be one effective discipline option among several in a parent's tool chest as they seek to steer their children away from negative behaviors and guide them toward ultimately becoming responsible, healthy, happy adults. He also states it's vital, however, that spanking must be administered within proper guidelines. Corporal discipline should only be applied in cases of willful disobedience or defiance of authority, never for mere childish irresponsibility. And it should never ever be administered harshly, impulsively, or with the potential to cause physical harm. Along those lines, parents who have a hard time controlling their temper to choose alternative forms of discipline. There is never an excuse or an occasion to abuse a child. The proper philosophy and approach is extremely important. Punishment is motivated by anger, focuses on the past, and results in either compliance due to fear or rebellion and feelings of shame, guilt, or hostility. On the other hand, discipline can be motivated by love for the child, focusing on the future, and results in obedience and feelings of security and trust. Ultimately, you are your child's parent. You are the one responsible for your child. Every child is different, so know what works for their needs. Quoting again from Time.com, "We won't go wrong if we exercise a firm and consistent hand with a soft and loving heart." Ultimately, the most important thing is the process of the spanking.